The truth about ISO, my man. All right, so a lot of people thought he might be broken. I even made a video about it myself, but we more so were just speculating about his pros and cons. A lot of people are already worried about his ultimate, and to be honest, after playing him and also, better yet, allowing other amazing players to play him, a lot of other Immortals and Radiants, I have a consensus on what I think ISO is to the game of Valorant and especially the meta. Now, the first thing I want to get out of the way and just put right in your face, the Yoru clone is a massive counter to his ult to a point it might be too strong. Look at this here. If my clone leads and he hits my clone, the clone gets dragged into the 1v1.
I have this fight.
It's you and
Come on.
me.
Yes.
Distraction. Oh, I'm so dead after I win this. It was a clone! Wait, you can ult a clone? What the fuck?
I mean, realistically, not only did I call it, but if you know an ISO has their ult available, if you're holding the Yoru clone, you can counter it based off of audio. Now, you can't if you don't have the clone in hand, but regardless, it is something you can predict similarly to how you play Valorant in general, the way you predict things in Valorant, right? It's all educated guesses, and in that case, I made one and it paid off. That's just one part of his problem. The other problem is once your ult, you really can lose the 1v1. It's not exactly a 50-50, you do get more cover, but still, you can lose it. You can lose it. If you go in with a shield ready or available, it definitely helps your odds a ton, and I think that's definitely part of his meta, and I think it's just too situational. It's very often going to be used to isolate 1v1s if you're in a 1v2, but even then, your body is genuinely vulnerable. The amount of people I killed, or the amount of ISOs I killed just returning to their ult is insane. It's hilarious. So, I don't know. His ult is remarkably mid. Then of course you have the invulnerability that you toss out, and you have two of them. They actually toss out very fast, they move very fast, and you have two of them. I actually think this is a solid part of his kit as a duelist. Aiming it is not that hard, hitting people isn't too hard. Overall, I think it fits him very well, and it's not too bad. That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't think it's too bad. His wall shield is fantastic. We gotta wait for lineups and setups. It's great to use. Throwing it out and playing with your team is fantastic. It's straightforward, and he's overall very easy to use in that sense. His final piece of utility, of course, where you shoot, where you aim labs, and you get the shield. Here's the thing. When you're playing against an ISO, it can be frustrating if they have their shield. You feel like, oh, I would have killed him without a shield. Like, you hit him 120, meaning you know the shield absorbed one additional bullet that would have otherwise hit his body. But the problem here is the redirection of your crosshair. It's so addicting and fun. So let me get one thing out of the way. ISO is fun. But realistically, when you get double swung, shooting one and then going for it up at the top, then going back to shoot the other person is difficult, and Reyna otherwise makes it too easy for you to genuinely pick ISO for the specific reason. Taking head-on duels, especially let's say while you're ulted as Reyna, where you can keep dismissing, healing, and moving in reposition, it all happens so automatic that this guy feels... Alright, I'm so sorry for this comparison. Reyna feels like an automatic transmission, while ISO feels like a manual transmission in a car. Genuinely, you're doing way more to get a similar result overall, and even then, you have to consider that Reyna's overheal is a lot more versatile because most of the time you aren't taking one-shot damage. With that being said, if you do have an ISO shield, you can peek into an op very confidently, take that op shot, and then push up ahead knowing they have to re-peek you in a bit. So in that sense, it can be very, very good. That shield aggressive play can be very, very good, but it just may be too situational to allow this guy to just move up in the meta. Is he going to be as bad as Deadlock on release? Not exactly, but I do think he's gonna be down there. But that's just a prediction. That's just a prediction. Is he fun? Yes. Is he addicting? Yes. But predictively, I just don't think he's extraordinarily viable. And he definitely can't be a solo duelist. That's the problem. He can't be a solo duelist. I don't even know if he can be a solo agent other than in the high ranks, because I'm imagining gold, plat, heck, maybe even diamond, but let's look more at like silver, gold, plat. If you have a silver, gold, plat picking ISO, their ability to find value is extremely hard in my opinion. I mean, he's going to be enjoyable to play, but the consistent, like, he's all about crosshair placement, proper peaks of angles, and isolating 1v1s, which a lot of people even in Diamond have trouble doing. It's hard to consistently isolate 1v1s because it comes with not only mechanical skill, but a high sense of game knowledge. And without isolating 1v1s, you're better off having Reyna, so that if you fail to isolate but get a pick, you can dismiss your ass out of a bad position. Or if you are in a good position and you did successfully isolate, you can then overheal instead. Whereas in ISO, you gotta be perfect. And that doesn't mention one last key point. Reyna's orb drops wherever the body is, directly in front of you. The ISO orb is a random direction from left all the way to right above. Meaning I have killed someone and had the orb fly to the left behind cover. There's just nothing I can do about it. It is brutal. It can genuinely be brutal. However, where does ISO's little kit shine? At not only the higher ranks, but with team coordination. Because when we were playing 10-mans, you know what was extraordinarily fun? Making ISO plays. For example, on Bind, push down long with the wall up ahead, have Yoru follow, which was me right behind the wall, then throw your flash, bouncing it off of the floor across the wall that's not spammable, and we all pop flash when ready. The only counter the enemies have is to push our wall before we get there, because they can't spam through it like a smoke. With a smoke play or even a harbor wall, you see a lot of professionals do this, push up with the smoke, pop flash out of it, and explode together. The counter, spam it. Hopefully get a pick before they start exploding onto site. You can't get that pick when it comes to ISO's wall, but it requires that team coordination. That's the thing. It really does require that team coordination. So you have the solo carry potential of Reyna diminished. Then you need more mechanical skills to pull it off, and to find full util, you also need to have team coordination. That is basically my first impressions. That's the thing. This is partial first impressions. That's the truth. That's the truth. It does come from a little bit of knowledge with discussing, with other Immortal and Radiant players, but regardless, it is still essentially first opinions. When I was playing ISO, even when I was doing bad, he was fun. And to be honest, Reyna is not fun when you're doing bad. For example, right? He feels a little bit more like Yoru in that he is an enjoyable kit to play. And you know what they did nail very right? Okay, think of it this way. What they did nail very right is playing against ISO isn't too frustrating, because when Deadlock released, she's literally not meta. She's at the bottom of most people's tier list, but still, if she throws up that wall pistol round, it's annoying. It's not fun to play against. It's still not a great agent to play, and it's not fun to play against the Deadlock, yet she's still weak. With ISO, he's not as weak. He's probably somewhere in the middle tier. He's somewhat balanced, in my opinion, has his pros and cons, but he's never annoying to play against. Getting pulled into his 1v1 just feels like, okay, time to 1v1. I know what's going on. It doesn't feel disorienting or weird, and you know that you can win. You don't feel like there's some unfair advantage happening for the most part. When you get weakened by his Q, it's not a big deal. When you're getting pushed by his wall, you understand what's going on. There's a lot of visual just visual understanding while playing against an ISO at all points, right? If you're playing even against a Yoru, it can be frustrating, right? You don't really know what's going on. Flash, or a breach, stun. It can feel a little bit overwhelming. Playing against an ISO just never felt too overwhelming. The only time is if you know you would have won if he didn't have a shield. But Valorant is filled with those. If Reyna didn't have her overheal, if I just didn't get flashed, if that stun wore out 1 second, if I didn't get timing, it doesn't matter. Valorant has that all over the place, and ISO doesn't contribute to this minus just a shield. So I gotta give it to Riot in one sense here. It is genuinely decent to play against him without any frustrations. Not to mention another little weakness, if you're going to have someone peek and you're going to play contact and it was an ISO that killed your peek, by peeking immediately, again, if he's going for that shield, you most likely have a chance to pick him off. Or if you really want to play safe and get ready to rotate, you can also aim and break his shield and then rotate. So the orb goes up, you can break the orb. You can break the orb so he can't get a shield, then you rotate, knowing sure he got a pick, but he doesn't have that shield available. So he's filled with counters, like genuinely filled with counters, and more counters came up than advantages just in our short playtest. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's how I'm feeling about ISO. Let me know based off of what you've watched, how are you feeling about ISO? Because I could be wrong and that's fine. But really at this rate, only time will tell. He will be released on October 31st.